Adderall and Sex Drive. Let's face it, Adderall and sex do actually play hand in hand. And when I was initially diagnosed with ADD, they gave me Ritalin. Later on, I was re-diagnosed with ADHD and they put me on Adderall. Nobody, I don't think, even knew back then exactly what stimulants in Adderall did to you sex drive-wise. No one ever explained it to me, and so I wanted to be able to share about it because this is my experience on what Adderall actually does to you sex drive-wise and what it does to you when it just comes to sex. If you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button. What's up, guys? My name is Eric, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist, I'm none of that, but I do share from my personal experiences. I was diagnosed with ADHD, PTSD, GAD, MDD. Those are my diagnoses. I've been on a lot of different medication, and one of those medications that I still am on is Adderall. And what is Adderall? One of those things that it's kind of known for, not a lot of people talk about it, is sex. Adderall and sex actually play a little bit hand in hand. And when I got put on Adderall, no one talked to me about, hey, it might put you into almost a state of hypersexuality. This is going to change and do something with your sex drive. Being about 17 when I got on it, I thought I was kind of normal. I didn't realize what this per se did to you. Well, if you didn't know, Adderall increases your sex drive. Adderall makes you horny. Adderall puts you in the mood nonstop. And why does Adderall just affect you when it comes to sex is this: it is a stimulant and it releases a massive amount of dopamine. So when it comes to even stuff like crystal meth, it comes to Adderall, it comes to stimulant drugs, it releases dopamine into our system. One of the things is when you have dopamine into your system, it's a lot of pleasure. Our brain knows another way for pleasure also is sex. So what does it do? It almost makes you hornier longer, makes you just horny nonstop. I'm gonna put it that way, especially when you're first on it, because your body's not used to stimulants. You have this just massive amounts of dopamine all of a sudden being produced that your body's not used to, and you are horny. You are constantly kind of in the mood. One of the things that Adderall also does is it slows down your thought process. So if you do a little bit get into the mood, you almost can become hyper-focused on it. The thoughts of sex, the thoughts of having sex, the images projected in your head, the memories that you recall, put you into this mood. Well, what does that do? It starts producing more and more dopamine. What happens now? You become horny. One of the things with Adderall is it does increase your sex drive. It can almost make you feel like it's hypersexuality because you are constantly wanting it. You're constantly in the mood. It's like Viagra on steroids almost in the very beginning, and people sometimes aren't really prepared for that because, yes, your partner, especially if you're later on in life and you've never been with somebody who just got put onto Adderall, they're going to be in the mood a lot more often than what maybe they ever were. And that is one of those side effects of stimulants when it comes to increasing your dopamine. Your blood flow now, all of a sudden, your juices are flowing, your thoughts are flowing, but you're also able to become super focused, so it does put your mindset can drift into that place a lot quicker, a lot easier. And your partner can get a little bit tired of it, believe me. One of the things though too is eventually your body adjusts to it. And I've been on Adderall on and off. And I can tell you this, after a prolonged time on Adderall, does the hypersexuality, that sex drive side of it essentially fade away? Yes, it lessens tremendously. It's not something that you're stuck with 24/7 for the rest of your life as long as you're on this medication. I've learned that with stimulants, you build up almost like this tolerance to them. Your body becomes used to it. You become used to how you feel on them. And so your sex drive is not as strong as it may be in the beginning of taking these medications. Your sex drive does kind of like level off later on. And whenever I've quit Adderall, because I have quit Adderall before for prolonged periods of time, when you do get back onto it, yes, you do all of a sudden, depending on how long I was off of it for, you do hit this small brief period of high sex drive, of constant horniness again, but your body almost is more used to it, so it readjusts a little bit quicker, so you almost fall back into just your normal groove. But it does definitely increase your sex drive, and that's why I think sometimes people are a little curious when their doctors, you know, if they're struggling when it comes to just being in the mood, wanting to have sex with their partner, sometimes doctors will talk to them about a small dose of Adderall. And why is that? Because of what a stimulant does to you. This is one of those known science facts. They don't know exactly why, and everybody has their ideas of why. My personal opinion on it is, yes, you do get horny a lot also though, because you have a lot more control of your thoughts. And if you do kind of get fixated on this mentality or this mindset or these thoughts, it does put you there a lot quicker. And let's face it, it releases more and more dopamine into your system. So you feel happy. And yes, we all want to feel good. And what does sex make us do? Sex makes us feel good. So it is something that we can kind of default to. So it does increase that. But again, I don't think it's a quick fix, especially if you have like ED or anything like that. It's not going to help where Viagra, Cialis, stuff with tadalafil, that increases your blood flow, relaxes your muscles, and then when your blood flow starts to go again, it really tightens up those muscles and engorges your body parts. Adderall doesn't do that. Adderall is literally a stimulant just pumping in dopamine into your system, along with some of the other neurotransmitters. But it does get you really focused in on the sex, and yes, you do have great sex for a while. Don't expect it though forever, because eventually your system does get used to it. And again, this is just my personal experience. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist. I don't diagnose anyone with anything. I just share from my own personal experiences, because I know a lot of times we're looking for answers. We want to know if it's just us or if we're alone, and what others have experienced in this to see if we're insane. No, you're not insane if you've gotten horny taking Adderall. But it does eventually just narrow out of your system some. It does calm in your system some. But I will say this, even through all the years that I've been on Adderall, it is one of those things that, because it slows down my thought process, I can get into the mood a little bit easier than when I'm not taking Adderall, because my thoughts are all over the place. Sex is one of the last things on my mind. When it comes to taking Adderall, if my partner's kind of in the mood, it puts me in the mood a lot easier, a lot quicker. Again, when it comes to this, it is a controlled substance. Get with your doctor on it. It is a phenomenal medication when it comes to ADHD. It is a lifesaver of mine. There is some stigmas around it, but I do say this, that without Adderall, my life probably would not be nearly as productive as it is now. And so talk to your doctor about it. If you do struggle with some of this stuff, definitely talk to your doctor about it. Find out that it is normal, find out ways to work around it, and also be very open with your partner about it. If you're not open with your partner about it, it can throw them off a little bit, make them even question things a little bit. And believe me, your relationship's important, so make sure you're talking to them and letting them know what this medication is doing to your system. Again, not a doctor, not a counselor. Hit that like button though. Comment down below. Love to hear your thoughts. Hit the subscribe button, because I love sharing about this stuff. I love letting people know that they're not alone, and I found through the more testimony, the more that I'm able to share about my experiences, the more that it's able to help people through different things. And especially when it comes to medications, a lot of this is trial and error. We don't know how it's going to affect our system. And when you are going through this is where communication with everybody involved is so important, with your doctor, with your spouse, with family even, depending on your living situations, just letting them know what these medications do, because they all have pros and cons to them. And you're not familiar exactly of how it's going to affect you. So learning what it does to your body, what it does to your sex drive is important, because there are also reverse effects that it can make you not interested in sex. And now all of a sudden what happens? Your partner thinks you're cheating on them. And that also, again, may not be the case. So when it comes to Adderall and sex, yes, they play hand in hand. Talk with your doctor though, talk with everyone involved. Do it safe, do it fun. But again, it is a side effect of Adderall. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be ashamed of it. Comment down below. I'd love to hear your experiences, because the more that we do share, the more that we talk about this, the more that nobody feels alone, the more that people understand what is happening with their body, what's happening with their system, and the easier it is just to plug through life. So you got this.